Hey guys, I'm Doglightning, a Challenger Neeko support main, and I've been playing Neeko's new mid-scope on the PvE for the past 2 days, and I want to go over some brand new Neeko mechanics that I've discovered over this time. At the very end of the video, I'm also going to be going over a quick routine that I'm going to be doing every day for the first 5 minutes of my day, just to practice and get used to using Neeko's new clones, so stick around for that if you're interested in that, and let's go over the brand new mechanics. So the first brand new mechanic that you might have seen is Neeko now. When you use your clone and you recall, it makes your clone do a full recall for the full duration, and I've found this to be abusable in a few different scenarios. So the first scenario I found this to be really useful is pulling the minion wave level 1. If you don't have to leash and the enemy top laner does, you can simply hide it in their top side brush, or if you're on the bot side, on this brush, and you can walk out and you throw your W at the minion wave, you get it as far as possible, and you push the B button. Your minion will now tank the minion wave here, and by the time they kill your minion, usually it'll be quicker than this because you'll be level 1, but if you do it properly, it'll be long enough to allow your minion wave over here to come over and crash under the turret, usually guaranteeing that they get denied at least 1 CS from the tower before they get to lane. And by the time they come to lane, they've now missed 1 CS, you're up a minion advantage before the game even started. So yeah, this is the first technique I found that you can use with the Neeko recall animation. Another really obvious one is fake recalling. So if the enemy is gonna be watching you recall and you can come out like this, for instance, and you throw like this and you start your recall like that, the enemy might come over and try to cancel your recall, and you can sit in the bush, and as they try to go onto your clone, you can go out and hit them with the ulti, the full combo, everything. So that's a second use for it. Another use for this is when you're doing vision control. So if you're doing an objective, you can send your clone out and you can start recalling. And while you're doing your objective, you have a free vision that the enemy can't get rid of unless they actually kill your clone, which means they're spending resources trying to kill it. And as you can see, if you have enough CDR, you can keep placing new ones before it runs out, making you actually have basically infinite vision control on Neeko when doing objectives. And you can keep swapping them around, as I have 2 at the same time, recall, and you can have, as you can see, free vision. So another new Neeko mechanic that someone within my Neeko community named Neeko showed me is that when you're invisible with your W, the enemy actually doesn't see you switch forms. So the idea of this trick that he did is you throw your W at the enemy, and at the same time, you switch into a minion and sneak into the minion wave, and they won't notice. And it actually works quite often. So you throw your minion and you turn into a ranged minion at the same time, and you distract the enemy. Their attention is on the minion, but you actually at the same time turn into a minion in the wave, at which point they don't know where you went. They think you may be in one of the bushes, and you can walk up and then you can find a surprise combo on them when they don't realize. You might think that this is cheesy and it won't work, but trust me, I've been playing on the PvE. Every game I've tried this within the first couple minions of my wave, and it almost always works. Again, the idea is you throw your W at the enemy, and while you're invisible, you switch into a minion and hide in the minion wave, at which point they won't notice. You can even do it from the bush, where you throw your clone out, and you turn into a minion and walk out of the bush into the wave. Because their attention is going to be on the clone, this is called in Magic, what's it called? Sleight of hand is what it's called in Magic. And the idea is you grab their attention with a flashy clone in their face, and while they're not looking at you, you turn into the minion, hide in the wave. This idea, he also showed me, works with the plants. And I actually did this in one of my games today. So the idea is if you have a plant on your bar, say a jungler is chasing me, I can go invisible and turn into the plant. This whole animation you see of me jumping into the plant, you're actually invisible. They don't see you jump up and go into the plant. All they see is the Neeko clone running, and they chase the clone while you actually disappear in the plant, and maybe you can just run the opposite way once they're out of your range. So again, to reiterate, when you're in stealth, they can't see you jumping into the plant. So you can get the plant with your passive, right? And you go to invade the enemy jungle, and oh no, a jungler's on me. You can throw your W and turn into the plant while you're invisible. They won't see it, and as they chase your clone, you can skeet out the other way. The final new mechanic that I want to go over about with Neeko's new passive is the fact that when you turn into a minion, it's actually very good for trying to get over vision. So if you know the enemy has a ward somewhere and you're trying to get over it, of course they'll still see it, but if you look at your minimap, you see these little dots. That's what the enemy sees when they see minions. And you can kind of go straight over wards, and the enemy usually won't notice it because they're trained to like see only the player icon. But when they only see one of these little minion dots walking over wards, you can actually sneak over wards, and this works anywhere. Like for instance, if I was going to roam and gank mid, if you can turn into a minion as you walk over this area, because it's generally usually warded, they'll probably not even really notice it most of the time, and you can get free kills. So long story short, if you're roaming around the map, unless you want to pretend and make the enemy think you're a certain champ on your team, it's usually best to turn into a minion so that you can get over wards and vision without the enemy knowing where you are. Another new mechanic Neeko gained on this mid-scope is she's able to now control her clone, which adds really new, diverse level of gameplay for Neeko. For instance, if this is a hook champion or a skill shot champ like Ari that's coming out to try and land something on you, you can throw your clone and stand and keep it in front of the enemy so they can't hit you. You can even throw it in front of the enemy and use that recall trick, so when it's about to run out, recall, and you have this clone that you can use to block enemy skill shots. This is a really cool new feature, and it's going to be really important to master this if you want to get good gameplay. Another thing is if you're getting chased by someone. So say you're getting chased by a Thresh, you can take your clone and move it behind you so that you can't get hit by anything from behind, right? You're running forward, you put the clone behind you, and you can keep it behind you as you're running. So using your clone now and controlling it to make it so it blocks enemy skill shots is going to be a huge part of playing the new Neeko. Another new thing that Neeko got is her clone actually throws fake spells. So if I go out here and hit E, you can see that Neeko does the wind-up animation. And this could be really useful. For instance, if you're running beside your clone and you both go, it makes it harder for them to dodge because they see two new routes coming. Or say you think that the enemy has, I don't know, there's a Nocturne or a Zac over the wall. And if you went out and tried to gank, right, they're going to go and engage on you. But with your clone, you can go out like this and throw a fake route and maybe get them to bait their flash or bait a Nocturne ulti or something like that. Another cool thing is you can turn into other champions on your team and they also do fake skill shots. So for instance, I was trying Blitzcrank earlier today, and if you use your W on a Blitzcrank and throw your Neeko Q, Blitzcrank actually winds up and goes for like a hook animation. And this can be really useful, again, for baiting enemy into using summoner spells or cooldowns. Alright, as promised at the start of the video, I have a practice routine that I'm going to show you guys right here. If you haven't, like, comment on the video and check out my Twitch to watch me play Neeko live, but this is the routine. So I'll warn you, I'm really bad at it. I've only been doing this for 2 days, but my goal is I'm going to do this every day for 5 minutes until I get really good at it. The idea is I want to control my Neeko and make my Neeko walks through this side like that. And on the enemy side, I want my clone to be walking through like this, and I want to be doing it at the same time. So again, bear with me. This is going to be really bad because this is really hard. And this the reason I invented this up is because I think controlling Neeko's clone is like really, really hard. It's now Neeko's W is one of the hardest spells in the whole entire game, up there with like Shaco's clone and stuff. So the idea is I want to, at the same time, control me. Wow, that is the best one I've ever done. That's good to get on the video. But the idea is I want to get good enough where I can control me and my Neeko. And once I get this pattern down, I'll try other random patterns, maybe a zigzag where I run out and I run across in a big X or something. I want to be able to control me and my clone and get it to a point where instead of feeling like I'm controlling my clone and controlling Neeko, I want to feel like I'm controlling Neeko as a whole. Like it's one champion instead of two separate. So yeah, I'm going to be doing this every day for 5 minutes before I start my stream. And I recommend any of you guys, if you really want to feel like you're a Neeko master, I'd really recommend doing this until you also feel comfortable with the clone. So I did it one perfectly. Let's see if we can get a second one. So, oh, see, you can already see it's a bit, honestly, wow. The practice is paying off because that one wasn't as good as the first one, but practice makes perfect. This is proving it. So yeah, again, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. This is only scratching the surface of the new techniques Neeko can do. There's other stuff I've seen on other videos, like you can turn into a minion to avoid Jinx traps, Jinx ulti, Scion ult, things that minions don't get hit by. There's going to be a lot of new mechanics coming out, but I figured day 2, I just wanted to show you guys a couple of the new mechanics that I think are like the major things that are going to be really important to learn and master if you want to be a Neeko main.